to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Shanna Register, and every week we bring you news and information you can use on your next real estate transaction. And today we are talking about the purchases and selling of condos and townhouses around the Houston market. So we had some great people in to talk to you today. We started with Dory Gordon, who kind of gave you her story on what happened. She's bought a lot of condos and she's had an issue with hers. So we talked about that. And then we brought in some experts, an attorney, a real estate attorney, and also somebody from the insurance market to talk about those issues and give her some advice on those. And this segment, we are going to have Margey Myers in, and Margey is going to talk to us from the Homeowners Association perspective or the Condo Owners Association perspective. So she is with Community Association Dispute Resolution Experts, and she's also a volunteer with the Community Association Institute. And she's actually been on the show before, bringing us great information about Homeowners Associations. So we're just going to be more specific this time and talk more about condo associations. And you are the expert, so we're excited to have you. Thanks for coming in.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me back. Thanks.
So in Dory's situation, she has a roof problem that she's trying to get resolution with her condo association. But let's talk a little bit broader. Let's talk a little bit more general, a little bit more broader. What does a condo association generally cover? I know they can vary, but most of the time, what do they cover?
Right. Well, your caveat about it can vary is really important because you always have to look at the governing documents. And now there are state statutes that may say a condo has to take care of this or a condo doesn't take care of that. But in general, the condo association is responsible for all the common elements, and the homeowner is responsible for airspace. Where it varies is how far does the airspace go? Is it the finished surfaces of the unit, or is it just the airspace itself? Mm-hmm. So where does it start and stop? And that's when you go to the governing documents.
So do most of them cover like foundation issues, roofing issues, things with the walls?
In a condominium, absolutely, it would be the foundation. It would be the roof. The whole envelope of the building would be covered.
Inside and outside?
Interior,
exterior?
The structure will be covered. Okay. But it just depends on the governing documents, whether it's going to cover the sheetrock and the carpet and all the other interior things.
Okay. All right. Do they normally pay for things like water, pest control, sewage, trash, all that varies?
It still varies. The older associations were master metered. Some were apartment conversions, and some were original construction with a master meter. So the association would pay for the water. Okay. Some have a master metered for electricity, too. Most of those have sub-metered out, both the electricity and the water.
Okay. All right. So now let's get a little more specific, like in Dory's case. So on the condos, when someone is buying a condo, whether it's a foreclosure or a resale, how do they know if the condo association is in good standing and has funds to make repairs when needed?
Oh, so important. What a good question, because anybody buying in a condo or a homeowners association needs to make sure that they get the financial documents, the financial reports, a current balance sheet, well, no more than, say, 2 months old.
Okay.
So they need to get that balance sheet, and they need to specifically look at the reserves.
And how do they get that?
They need to ask the realtor, and the realtor needs to get that information. It should be part of the disclosure statement that they get. Part of the financial statement is part of the disclosure statement.
So go directly to the condo association.
Right. Okay. Correct.
And title isn't necessarily going to get that from you. They're going to get the condo the condo certification.
Right.
But they're not necessarily going to get the balance sheets.
The condo certification requires that kind of information, though. So either most of management companies just attach the financial report. So they don't have to fill out all the lines, but they should be getting that financial report in a condo association.
Okay, so now they know that they're buying this property, they love it, they want to buy it, and they know that the condo association is in good standing. Now, how do they ensure that when they have a problem that the condo association is going to fix what they've said they're going to fix?
Okay, so they got to look at the governing documents, which they need to get and actually read before they buy, just like they should look at the financial statement before they buy, take a look at it. Sometimes I think it's a good idea if there's some doubt, if there's some serious issues in that unit, before they put the money down or before they close on it, maybe they should talk to some board members or the management company. And probably it's going to be the seller who's going to do the talking, because there's no contractual obligation between the association and the prospective buyer. So if the prospective buyer has concerns, he or she needs to get the seller to get in touch with the condo association, either directors or management company, to get the answers.
So in Dory's case, the condo association is like excluding her roof because they said it was patched by a previous owner, so they don't want to cover it. So her next step is going before the board. If the board cannot resolve it, what would be the next step? Would it be legal action, or where would they go from there? Is there anybody else that can help in that kind of situation?
I would hope that they would go to mediation, agree to a third-party impartial mediator to try to reach some kind of solution. Yeah. I'm just hearing about this story now, so I've been thinking about it in the past 5 minutes. Yeah. I've been hearing it, and I'm thinking that even though why did that person make the repair? Was it because the association wasn't responsive?
Well,
and they had a leak?
It was a foreclosure, so I guess we don't really know if it was this association who had someone repair it and they didn't do a good job, or if it was the homeowner who had someone. But why would the homeowner do it when the condo association covers the roofs? Why would any homeowner get up there on the roof?
The only thing I can think of is the association wasn't responsive and they had a roof leak and they were trying to sell the unit, so they hired somebody to just patch it.
Yeah.
So
now, you made a good point earlier when we were talking that I know you talked about all the things that condo associations usually do cover, but if it's damaged, they may not cover it. So, for example, you said if they attached a satellite to the roof and that became a problem, the association might not fix that.
Right. And that could be this scenario, since we don't know all the facts. It could be that they put on their own satellite dish, which penetrated the roof, and they would have been responsible for it from that point forward.
So then what about the next owner? So that was foreclosed on with that seller, and then the next buyer buys into it, thinking the condo association is going to cover it. Would they be excluded too?
I'm not an attorney. I told you I was going to tell that. Sooner or later, I was probably going to say that a lot. But if you look at it from the reasonableness perspective, all right, the association's responsible for the roof. It's an old roof anyway, from what I understand. Yeah. It's not the only place that's leaking. It just it needs to be replaced. It's the end of its useful life. So to me, I would advise the board, look, it needs to get done anyway. They've had a patch done. We don't know why the patch was done, but this entire roof on this building needs to be replaced, so there's no reason to exclude that repair.
Yeah. And then, of course, now there's damage on the interior because this has been leaking so much. So even though the condo association doesn't cover the interior walls, because it was damaged due from the roof, is that something that you feel like a condo association would normally cover?
Now, that's an interesting story. I've had them go both ways, because lots of times there's a roof leak, but the place has been abandoned, and there was a lot of damage inside, but nobody ever reported it to the association, so they couldn't go fix it.
Right.
So if there's damage inside because of that scenario, I would say that the association really wouldn't be responsible for it, because if they had known about it and they had acted promptly and fixed it, there wouldn't have been that much damage, and the homeowner could go up there and just repaint it and apply mold killer or whatever, and everybody moves on.
So because they didn't fix it and it caused such a problem, the condo association would probably need to fix all the damage?
It depends on when it was reported.
It was reported immediately and they just refused to fix it.
The roof leak was reported by the previous owner?
It was reported by the new owner when they had it, as soon as they started having it.
Was it leaking when they bought it?
No, the house was inspected and it was fine when she bought it.
Oh, well, that's the different story. So that you're absolutely right. If the association had responded timely to fix the leak, then the governing documents would rule and the owner would be responsible for the interior repair.
Right.
In my opinion, if the association were delinquent, I guess, in getting it fixed, then they should they should do the repairs to it.
Well, and the whole point of today's show is just to make people aware of the pitfalls that can come from owning a condo. And as you said, there are ways to avoid those pitfalls by knowing the financial situation of the condos, by getting inspection, knowing what you're buying. There are ways to avoid the pitfalls. And that's really why we showcased her incident today on the show, is just to bring light to all of these different opinions and different ways of looking at things, and just to make buyers and sellers aware of their choices, of their options and things that they can do, and different ways to look at situations. And, we are no judge and jury here, obviously. We just wanted to share this information and get everybody to weigh in on their opinion. And, hopefully, I hope for Dory's situation that it does get resolved. But I just want buyers and sellers out there to understand, when they do look at condos, it's just like buying a home. There are pitfalls with buying a home. Right. We just focus this show on condos. Just because we had never done a show on condos before, so we really wanted to focus on that. And there are pitfalls with any real estate transaction, anything you purchase. So we wanted to just make people more aware of it. So we certainly appreciate you chiming in. And I know you've got an 800 number for people who have homeowner association questions, right?
Yes, this is for the Community Associations Institute Houston chapter. We have an HOA hotline, and we are getting calls not just from Houston, but from Texas and Denver and New Jersey.
Oh my gosh.
I would encourage people, if you have questions about your association, go to the CAIHouston.org, and click on the tab for the HOA hotline. You can email something directly, fill out a form, and it'll come to us that way.
Okay.
Or you could call 832-251-1874. You're not getting legal advice. We deliberately are not attorneys.
Right.
But there are 10 of us who are experts in community association operations. We all have our professional community association manager designation, and we would love to help you before it gets to court.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, there are so many ways to mediate and arbitrate through things. It's good if you can just figure out the right routes, the right channels to go through to get things and find resolution so that it's a win-win for everybody.
And if I could just reiterate the absolute importance of looking at those financials before you buy a home or a condo in a community association.
And what is a good number, though? I mean, if you look at it and see that they have $30,000 in the bank, is that good? Is that enough? I mean,
Look for the reserve study, because if there's a reserve study done, not required in Texas, darn it. Lots of other states require reserve studies now, not yet Texas. Maybe there's a legislator listening in and he's going to start the ball rolling, because it would be wonderful to mandate reserve studies. But if there's a reserve study, it's going to say, it's going to identify all the capital components, including the roof, the sidewalks, the front gate, the pool pump, everything that has a useful life, what the remaining life is, what the replacement cost is, and how much associations should be setting aside every year so that they've got money in the bank when it's time to replace that component.
Very good. Great information. All right. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming on the show. And for everyone listening out there, you can go to HoustonRealEstateRadio.com to watch today's videos of the show and find links to our sponsors, Margey, Meyer. Thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate great information. And call that 1-800 number if you've got homeowners association questions. We'll be back next week between 11 and noon right here on Houston Real Estate Radio.
People often find themselves in need of storage and moving, but don't want the hassle and stress. Sound familiar? Well, at Zippy Shell, we make storage and moving easy. Zippy Shell will deliver a storage container to your home or business. You load it at your leisure, and we'll take it to one of our safe, convenient storage facilities, or ship it to your final destination. We treat your stuff like it's our stuff, because we understand you're not just giving us your belongings, you're giving us your trust. Zippy Shell. Storage and moving that makes life simple.